Hello everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among many other things. Now we're taking a look here today at Holo, which is hot, however you want to call it. It's not so hot today, I'll be completely honest with you, but it was a request from my community members, so thank you so much, Yanni, for asking that I cover this here. I do appreciate you, and obviously, if you're not you're unfamiliar with the channel, I have a lot of requests from my community members that I like to cover, specifically my patrons, because they are part of my premium Patreon account, and it's a cool community too, where we actually share all of my trades with my community members. I do day trades, swing trades, hodl trades. I basically send out signals for everything that I do, so it's a really cool learning experience for everyone. And I get the opportunity and thankfully the benefit of being able to provide a video like this to my members. So thanks again, Yanni. I do appreciate you and your patience here in allowing me to get this over to you here today. Now, regardless, I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. So again, if you're new to the channel, you're going to hear me say this a lot. I recommend you always do your own research and make sure you learn as much as you can from as many people as possible. Don't take what I say here as the end-all be-all. Yes, I believe I have a very good success rate. I mean, I think 80% is a pretty good conversion rate, but to each their own, right? We all have our own methods, and everything that I've developed has just been a culmination of everything I've learned from a lot of different people. Okay, so do as much research as you can, of course, but I hope you do find benefit here regardless, and I think you will learn a thing or two if you stick around. Check out some of my other videos if you haven't already. I'm sure I've covered one of your favorite coins by now. I cover a lot, honestly, but this is great fun for me. I really like this, and I really enjoy it, and it works out very well for everyone. So thank you and welcome aboard if you haven't already seen my stuff. Now moving forward, without further ado, I do tend to ramble, so we'll just go ahead and get right into it. Let's check it out. Let's get to the charts. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look here at Holo, or Holo. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's hot though, either way you look at it, right? So we'll take a look at that here. And just before we do, we always look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first. If you're new to the channel, the whole point of that is just get a quick baseline on the market so we know kind of what's going on, because Bitcoin's the catalyst and a lot of other coins are on the ERC20 blockchain. There's quite a lot on there. So it's important, I think, to look at both. That's just kind of my sentiment there. Now, before we start, too, I also like to preface the fact that I use TradingView.com desktop application. Link in the description below for a free month if you're interested. I offer that because of the fact that you need more than 2 indicators present on any given time frame. And it's important to kind of do a thorough analysis instead of just an abbreviated one. So, the unpaid version allows you to have 2 indicators, paid versions more than that. So just recommend checking that out in your own time. So I like 2 indicators present per time frame, but I go through 4 to 5 different time frames on my charts. So just keep that in mind as well. Regardless, we're looking at the 4-hour chart here for Bitcoin. As we can see, we all experienced Judgment Day back on September 7th. And ever since then, it's been kind of just hit or miss with ups and downs, highs and lows. But the bottom line is working itself into a channel. We got about 44,000 as a traditional support level. And, right about 46,800 is the previous resistance or support, depending on how you look at it. It's now a resistance, but previous support. That being said, the two most inner channels that we're working within right now, you can see this more specifically on the 1-day chart, is right here at 44,800, upwards of 46,000. So last 3 days, it's pretty much trended right in that zone pretty consistently. So just kind of pay attention. There's pretty strong support and resistance levels in this little inner channel. We've got the secondary support and resistance outside of that moving forward. Also note as well, we are below both moving averages on the 4-hour chart. Here, we actually have the death cross push the price down a little bit. But here, keep this in mind too, we've also got a golden cross on the 1-day chart that's about to close. Whether or not that will spike the price up is hard to say. I don't think it's super relevant because a lot of industry leaders will utilize SMA or EMA, never both. So just keep that in mind. Actually, sometimes they do use both, don't get me wrong, but usually not concurrently. Therefore, I recommend just kind of taking that with a grain of salt. That could possibly increase the price here in the next 24 to 48 hours. Moving on to Ethereum. Similar scenario here with just more so sideways action. We've got a support level here at about 3,200 even, with the resistance at 3,550. The simple moving averages kind of show us that the price is working below the 200 right now, and that we have a potential death cross that could occur, where the price will likely be pushed down, perhaps, or keep it below the 200 in the second, kind of this lower tier or lower echelon of this support and resistance channel. Okay, so we could see the price, continue to be kind of pushed down and possibly eventually break to the downside. It really depends on what happens with Bitcoin, though. Honestly, none of that's relevant if Bitcoin takes off. Honestly, that's just my sentiment. Moving on to Holo. All right, let's go ahead and take a look here at the one-day chart first. Okay, we also see a similar scenario here as well. This is happening with a lot of altcoins where we have the actual golden cross occurring almost across the board with a lot of coins. It's based on the way that the price just kept on getting driven down, and now that the prices have been increasing recently, and then this plateau, so to speak, that happened with a lot of coins where ones that are kind of following Bitcoin more concurrently have this type of reaction. So you can kind of say Holo right now has a tendency of following Bitcoin fairly close because it ramped up when it did, it's gone sideways when it did, and it sold off when it did, right? So just keep that in mind. If Bitcoin's going to do well, then this will also do well. All right. So that being said, we're not here to look at golden crosses or death crosses. We want to look at other things too, because that's just part of the big picture. Bottom line here is that we have the bears are in complete control. Simply put, we have this strong divergence on the MACD. Now that's normal to happen because of what occurred there with that super strong sell-off. Let's see how Holo was affected that day. Yeah, 33%. And I try to teach this to my patrons too, and just the simple fact that most altcoins are going to respond to Bitcoin 1.5 to 2 times as great. In other words, it's awesome because they can ramp up that fast, but they could also go down that quick too. In other words, Bitcoin has a sell-off of 20%, which it pretty much did. It was almost like 19%. Then we can expect a coin like this to fall maybe 30 to 40%. And as we saw here, what did we see with the total? We're looking at somewhere in the range about 32%, right? So no surprise, it kind of trailed off and sold off, and now it's kind of trying to go sideways for some time. It's consolidating, it's trying to figure things out. Are we going to increase? We're probably not going to increase until we see Bitcoin do that first, right? A lot of altcoins like this that are not like super large, in other words, it doesn't have a ton of market capitalization. I don't believe this is like the top 50 coins. Therefore, we're not seeing a lot of turnaround because people are more passively investing in these. I mean, good news is the price is still low. So once the price were to increase later, then we can see that happen. Another thing to note too is, altcoin season isn't quite here yet, but we're on the verge of it. So in other words, usually when Ethereum does very well initially, it starts kind of like the alt season, right? So Bitcoin goes sideways, Ethereum goes up. We saw that recently. We also are starting to see a lot of major altcoins taking off right now, a lot of the top 50 coins, and they are doing, they're exceeding their previous all-time high. They're making higher highs and higher lows. Granted, some of them are selling off, of course, now based on Bitcoin kind of having the state of indecision, but that's what's happening. Therefore, those are the first 2 steps in the basically a 3-step process, whereas coins like these are going to start taking off eventually, and that's when altcoin season happens. Okay, so either way, I'm just trying to mention here that with the price where it's at right now and where it's able to go in the past and what it's done previously, I think it's a fair value right now at this price point for Holo. Okay, and what price is that, by the way? That's what, I mean, we could pretty much say it's almost at 1 cent right now. Okay, so 1 cent is a good price range, a good value for Holo, because obviously it went upwards of almost 3 cents at one point, and a major resistance at about 0.028, so 2.8 cents was the previous all-time high. Let's just go ahead and mark that for future reference. All right, so it's got a lot of room for growth, obviously. Now, granted, that was one of its higher points, and that was before the Bitcoin sell-off. So let's identify that really quick too. Where's April 17th? It's right here. Therefore, we saw this sharp increase. What was that? How many? In about 2 weeks, it went up about 800. Oh my goodness, almost 900%. And like, yeah, that's about a 2 to 2.5 week span. Okay, so the retracement had to happen. Okay, therefore, it was trying to channel itself here. It was going to start consolidating sideways at basically 2 cents. And then April 17th occurred and caused everything to kind of start selling off. Then obviously May 19th for the second major Bitcoin sell-off. So, if you just see you remove those 2 things, there's a strong chance that this would probably be in the range of about, 0.013 upwards of 0.02. Therefore, the price being where it's at right now, concurrent with Bitcoin being in the $45,000 to $50,000 range, we're at a good value, good price point. Because as you can see here, just before Bitcoin got stunted out at about 52,000, you can see the price is about 0.013. That's a big difference, right? So hadn't those sell-offs happened, that resistance level would have been tested and broken, and we'd probably see higher highs right now versus where it's at currently. again, these are all things that I try to look at when I do analysis for my patrons. And by the way, if you're new to the community here, I actually share all of my trades with my patron members. So check that out in your own time, of course, but it's a really cool opportunity to be able to kind of share with you, everything that I do, but also day trading, swing trading, hodl trades. I do pretty much everything, and we all learn and grow together. We got a private chat channel. It's really a lot of fun. So obviously check that out in your own time. But I do this for them essentially because we all need a little bit of help. And being in the industry for about 15 years, you can kind of pick up some things, right? I'm a profitable trader. I like to be able to kind of promote best practice, be patient and diligent. But look at things like this. This is the important stuff to look at, because you can't just jump in blindly and look at the 1 minute chart. Oh, great, I've got a MACD convergence. Let's jump in. It's not quite like that. All right, anyways, speaking of MACD convergence, let's go ahead and take a look. Yeah, we already determined that we have a bearish divergence for the MACD. The price is under the 50 RSI right now, so that does imply that we might stay in that channel for a little while. So again, good value, but the likelihood of it breaking above that is fairly low, just based on the simple fact that we need some kind of catalyst. Yes, there's a chance that this golden cross could be the catalyst we're looking for, but I personally don't feel that. We'll see what happens. Moving forward, we don't have much going on in the 4-hour chart. Honestly, all the same thing. We just have basically the 50 and the 200 working as a resistance level. We did have that, as we can see here, this is a death cross, so to speak, and it's pushing the price action down. Okay, so we'll see what happens soon, but again, not a lot positive here for Holo. Looking at the 1-hour chart, I'm willing to guess we're under the cloud. Yes, we are. And if you're new to the channel here, the Ishimoku cloud is essentially just an opportunity for us to be able to understand if it's buy signal or sell signal. The price is above, it's considered a buy signal. Price is below, it's considered a sell signal. So again, it doesn't always work. It's not 100%. That's why you use other factors included. But just say there was, a positive, convergence on the MACD, for example, and then you see the price break above the cloud, that would have been a good long position. However, now, obviously, we don't have a lot of going for us because Bitcoin just sold off and we have a state of indecision. Nobody really wants to invest in Holo right now. Okay. In fact, we didn't take a look at that here, but I'm willing to guess we have a decrease in volume overall here compared to the previous few days. So, there's no surprise that that's actually what's happening right now. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look back at the 1-hour chart. You know what? Not much else to really disseminate here. Normally I'd look at TD sequential, but it's probably just getting a lot of resets here. We likely will have no further, knowledge from that. So honestly, we can just take a look at the 15 and call it a day here, because really not much else to look at, honestly, because the simple fact that we have, we've kind of figured everything out on the 1 day and the 4-hour chart. Normally I like to look at the 1-hour chart and the 15-minute chart once, if there's actually something kind of going for it. In this case, we don't have a convergence in the MACD. Neither of them are telling us on the 4-hour or the 1-day chart. We don't have, much telling us on the RSI, except for the fact that it's in a lower channel between 30 and 50, and that basically means that 50 is working as a resistance level, and in turn, we're probably going to see the price either continue to be pushed down or just continue to go sideways until either A, that we get that the golden cross to essentially cross upwards and kind of push the price up, or nothing at all. So I guess here's what I want to kind of end with here. Why don't we just call it a day here? Because honestly, the 50-minute chart, not much to see there. You can't identify much because there's not a lot going on. And this is kind of consistent with a lot of coins right now too. It's difficult to want to consider investing until Bitcoin makes up its mind. So once we get Bitcoin at like 46 to 50,000 range, or maybe just say break that resistance of 46,800 and kind of stay above, close that on the 1-day chart and start working towards 50,000, then we're going to start seeing some things from coins like this, right? So if right now, if you were kind of the kind of person that believes in a big picture, you're willing to hold on for a while, then this wouldn't be a bad coin to invest in, right? It's not going to take off tomorrow. I think likelihood that's fairly low unless something crazy happens with that, that golden cross. But again, I'm not a firm believer in that being a main catalyst, right? Because there's not a lot of other things that are influencing this positively. Therefore, big picture, if you want to hold on to Holo for a while, if you already have it, keep your position open. You're perfectly fine. I think this will continue to make higher highs. Will it break its previous all-time high? Not for some time. Once we enter altcoin season, decent chance based on its previous momentum, it will get back there again. But will it happen in the next month or two? I don't think so. I think it's still a little premature. September is notoriously a sell-off month. If you look back at September 2013, September 2017, every 4 years, September repeats the same cycle, and it's always a red month. So I'm not surprised that Bitcoin is going to continue going sideways and kind of being weird for the next few weeks, because of the simple fact that it's not October yet, and October is open season. Price shoots up very high, very quick, based on the history of the last 4 years, right? And for some strange reason, there's a self-fulfilling prophecy with Bitcoin that keeps recycling its same process every 4 years, just makes the legs higher and essentially legs lower. Maybe reference my other video on the 4-year cycle if you're interested in that. I think it's very appealing to kind of understand. I don't dive super deep into what I just mentioned, but it is still relevant, okay? So just keep that in mind. That is very important to understand here. So again, depending on your trading style, I would either wait on Holo for now, or if you already have a position, keep it open, all good. You're not in bad shape at all. It's obviously going to break this resistance here at 0.013 soon. It's just a matter of how soon it gets back there. Okay, so that's a major resistance level right there. But it tested it 4 times there and did very well. It's even tested 2 times in the past. And just bear in mind, the more often you test a resistance, the more likely it is to break. We're not there yet, but I think we would be above that point right now if Bitcoin hadn't done what it did. It's just there's a complete fear, uncertainty, and doubt right now in the market with a lot of altcoins, especially altcoins this size. So we're not going to see any type of major increase soon. So I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me here today. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take good care. Thank you.